You know, I had an SGLI, Service Members Group Life Insurance. My mom would get $400,000 if I died. And to think that, you know, this is the value that we place on human life in Iraq really gives you some perspective. But to me, whether or not how you want to define reparations isn't important, but I believe in holding our government accountable. And there's no way that we will ever be able to rebuild, sorry, we just killed your son. There's no way we'll be able to rebuild, you know, hey, your dad just got, you know, sorry, we just tortured you by accident for 6 months in Abu Ghraib and then turned you back on the street. There's nothing you can do about that. But at very least, I think we have a moral obligation, and the Iraqi people have a right to hold our government accountable for the legitimate, measurable damage that we've done to that country. The third thing that we call for is full benefits for returning veterans, regardless of discharge status. And the reason this is so important, regardless of discharge status, is because we have troops coming home with post-traumatic stress disorder who are still on active duty, who are getting sent back to Iraq, who get sent back after being diagnosed and then commit suicide. And they come back and have behavioral issues around post-traumatic stress disorder and then are denied their benefits. It's mind-boggling how backwards this has become. So our strategy in Iraq Veterans Against the War for our first objective of ending the war is based on withdrawing our direct material support for the war. That happens in 3 ways. First, by just advocating for veterans' benefits. And there's a reason people like McCain wanted it to look, why he opposed the Webb GI Bill, which would restore the GI Bill to what it was really intended to be. And because they want people to be dependent on the military. They want it to look like being a veteran sucks. So simply by advocating for veterans' benefits, we empower soldiers to become successful civilians and leave the service and make a conscious decision that isn't as little as possible based on the pressures that the military puts on people to stay in the military. Second thing is by truth in recruiting. By sharing with people who are considering joining the military today the reality of what it means to serve, we are hoping to inspire them to find a better way to serve this country than dying for empire. And the third way is by supporting GI resistance. For the troops that want to disobey their orders on the grounds that they are illegal, that they are unconstitutional, that they have a duty to resist those illegal orders, we inspire further resistance and ensure that soldiers will always have that right. Now, what I'd like to see, because a lot of people in the anti-war movement who have done work with resistance, because there's a great human tradition of resisting war, in standing up as soldiers actually resisting orders or war in some way, that could be extrapolated to the broader freedom movement. That if we, and one way that I do this for myself, you know, we talk a lot about living a lifestyle based on your principles or based on libertarian principles. I don't pay taxes. That's what this white armband is for. Because 2,000 years ago, a Roman senator suggested that they make all the slaves wear white armbands so they could be more easily identified. And a wiser senator said, no, if they see how many of them there are, they may revolt. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. And so this is simply an affirmation of my commitment to resisting the federal income tax. So I think it is incumbent upon us as a movement now to develop this idea and develop these ideas and live up to our principles and extrapolate that and really have the courage of our convictions to disobey and to inspire others to do the same and support others who are doing so. I know we're getting very close to time, and I appreciate all of your indulgence. I'll try to wrap things up quickly here. But I'll just end with a couple things. Is everybody here familiar with the Revolution logo? Yeah. Okay. With the love in it, backwards? That was created decades ago by Ernie Hancock, an activist in Phoenix, Arizona, who it'd be really hard to pin him down on his philosophical beliefs. He's one of those great people who in the libertarian tradition are very resistant of any kind of label, but clearly anti-authoritarian and calling for revolution. And I asked him, I said, why did you put the the love in there? Why is that the logo? Why is that an important part of it? And it kind of caught him off guard. He didn't know how to answer. And I've been asking a lot of people, what does it mean? Does anybody here, can anybody tell me very quickly, like, if they have a meaning for that, what does that love in the revolution logo mean to you?
Because freedom is the most human thing there
Peaceful
is.
conquers all.
Peaceful revolution.
Okay, well, that's what Ernie said. He said, you know, you can have a revolution as long as it's not bloody. You know, and I said, well, sometimes it may be righteous, and as you know, as Jefferson said, the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. And the way things are going, that time may come again. But to me, there's a much greater significance of the reason that love is there in that logo and why it has succeeded and been so spoken so powerfully to so many people who join Ernie in calling for the kind of revolution that he's calling for. Many of whom would be very comfortable taking on the label libertarian, many of whom are members of the Libertarian Party, a large number of whom resist being a part of any kind of party. But to me, that love really has to be the foundation of everything we do. For me, it is the foundation of my very political philosophy. It is a complete, courageous, fierce love for humanity. An inherent belief that humankind is good, that human beings are good, that while we are not perfect, human nature is by no means perfect. We have to assume that the good will always triumph over the evil within ourselves and within society. And with that love, innately is a faith in humanity, and a belief. And I look at human history in the broader sense, and I see that we've made incredible progress based on our values. We have gone from the law of the jungle, and whoever could pick up the biggest rock was in charge, to tribalism, to feudalism, to socialism, communism, all these other mechanisms of government, to at least some concept of a free market, to capitalism. But originally capitalism came with slavery, to capitalism now with, instead of slavery, wage slavery or corporatism. But I still see this as a progress away from force, towards reason, to society living based on that love, to humans interacting based on that. And when you feel that love and that faith, innately what comes out of that is respect. And then you have a society in which individuals respect each other. And we call that freedom, or liberty. And you can imagine that in a perfectly free society, every human being would have a perfect amount of respect for their fellow human beings. But I really think that liberty, as we describe it, when we think of it and we use as a way to extrapolate positions on specific issues, really goes back to faith and love and an innate love for humanity and fellow human beings. Now, just finally, to put that in perspective for what we're doing and who we are and where we are and what it means to be an American today and to fight in the American political system. Because inherent with those principles for me is that in living up to my principles, I know that what I want to do with my life is take on the greatest injustice that I am capable of. And I see that the greatest injustices in the world being committed today are caused by the United States government. And I'm in a position to do something about it. I don't think I could live with myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to do something about it. But this goes back to why the United States at all. I know we have a lot of anarchists in our movement who would like to see a world immediately with no borders and somehow jump to that. I don't think that's possible. But what is possible is to end some of these injustices. And I truly believe in a kind of American exceptionalism. Not what we know it as, not the myth of American exceptionalism, not because, you know, I know that we're ranked, what, 30-something in math and science education worldwide now, and our healthcare is now, what are we in healthcare ratings in the world? But we're pretty down there. You know, the only thing we've got left is our military, and our fiat currency system is the world reserve, which we're going to be losing very shortly. But what makes America truly exceptional is that at our founding, our founders of this country pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to the certain inalienable individual rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that I believe is founded in that love. And it's not the Constitution, which was merely the practical representation of that in some form of governance. And it wasn't the Declaration itself, written by the hand of man, but the ideals behind that are grounded in that broader love for humanity. And as long as we stick to that, as long as we remember that, and that is what makes us American, and that we live up to those ideals, we will be good Americans as our founders called for us to be. And that is something we're fighting for.